What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. So today we're going to be doing a video having a look at Sabo and Koala in this Super Evolution. I don't know what Bandai are doing, it just seems like every Super Evolution that comes out is just extremely disappointing, and it feels like, you know, once or twice a year we'll get a 6+, and it's actually like a god tier amazing 6+, and I feel like we're still kind of waiting for that for this year, honestly. I feel like all the Super Evolutions this year have been extremely underwhelming, so let's hope that we get some good stuff moving forward, because, yeah, look, it hasn't been great. Now, look, Sabo and Koala are definitely a better version than their 6-star form. Like, there's obviously no doubting that. They are a better unit with the Super Evolution, with the level limit break, but it just feels like, even with the investments into level limit break and with this Super Evolution that we've been waiting for so long for this character, I mean, this character is just fine. Like, it's a real big issue because thematically it makes sense for them to release the 6+ right now. Obviously, with the release of Dragon and the whole Revolutionary Army stuff, like, that's cool. I'm a big fan of all that stuff. The issue is the tag functionality is in such a weird spot right now because, I mean, specifically when we look at Dragon, we know what his issues are. Building a full team of Rev armies whilst also trying to run Cerebral units is relatively difficult because, especially when half of the units that you can actually use that are Rev army and Cerebral end up being Sabo characters, and of course you can only use one Sabo on your team. I guess if you use a friend captain things can be different, but you know, things are just a little bit wonky right now in terms of the tags, and that really does kind of hurt this character. Even though, to be honest, you don't, like, for Sabo Koala specifically, you don't really have to run tags in any sense, but it's more of, you know, the synergies with the other characters that are surrounding the release of characters that are out right now. So just, it's a little bit of a weird situation for this character. Overall, I mean, this character is perfectly fine. The captain ability just doesn't have a lot going for it, so, like, to be honest, there just isn't really much of a reason to use this character as a captain, basically, under any circumstance. There's just no reason to. They don't really provide anything aside from, you know, doing damage. They do make some certain slots beneficial, just pretty typical stuff. Like, it's just nothing out of the ordinary. So, I really wouldn't advise using them as a captain, really, under any circumstances. Their switch effect is kind of interesting, though, being able to remove their own despair, paralysis, and special bind. And of course that does kind of hurt because they remove special bind, which is good. I mean, we love that. But then they remove their own despair and paralysis. Of course, if you use them as a captain, they remove their own despair. That's cool. But if both characters are inflicted with despair, and you're not using Sabo Koala as the other captain, then, you know, you still have to deal with half of your crew being despaired. It just ends up being a little bit wonky. And removing paralysis off themselves, again, can be kind of useful, but it's not that crazy, to be honest. Like, it feels like what it should have been is, like, remove their own special bind completely, and then remove one turn of paralysis and despair on the whole team. If they did that as the switch effect, oh my god, this character would be so much more powerful. Unfortunately, they didn't do that. What I will say, though, is that for their switch effect, being able to change their own slot and adjacent slots into essentially matching, you know, generating those recovery slots, I actually like that. That's a really nice change that they added to Sabo and Koala to make them a little bit more useful, especially if you use them as a crewmate in the middle row. It essentially gives 4 out of your 6 slots matching every single turn, so that's a massive benefit that this character did not get access to previously. And of course, the super switch effect being able to give you that color affinity boost for 2 turns. Pretty substantial color affinity boost, by the way, 2.5 times for Cerebral and Free Spirit. And then also being able to then use their special ability with level limit break to extend the duration of your color affinity boost by 1 turn, essentially making a 3-turn color affinity boost. I've never really been a big fan of characters that in one effect they give you 2-turn buff and then you activate another part of their effect to make it a 3-turn buff. It would have been way better if the switch effect was just straight up 3 turns of color affinity, and then, you know, that's just kind of it. And I guess, you know, it really depends on the situation, because there are situations where having a 2-turn color affinity boost is better to avoid an enemy, you know, giving you a bad one, and then you get to, like, basically apply a different color affinity boost later. But I think, generically speaking, the fact that you have to use their special to make it a 3-turn color affinity boost is a little bit of a weird one. And one of the reasons why Sabo and Koala was ever used is because of their unique effect, as you're seeing right here in this clip, being able to change badly matching slots into matching, and then removing any of those effects that make certain slots, you know, non-beneficial or beneficial. So in this situation here, where all these type slots and all that are treated as badly matching, being able to just remove that completely is very good. And I remember when Sabo and Koala first debuted, there was a treasure map. It was against treasure map Rob Lucci, I believe. And there was a boss in that map which basically gave you that effect where certain slots are badly matching, and they were like the only good character at the time that could actually remove it. So yeah, very, very unique effect. Sometimes comes into play very, very useful, but most of the time it's kind of like whatever, because back when this character came out, like Wano slots weren't really a thing, and abusing rainbow slots to the fullest extent, and Semler slots weren't really as common either. So there's lots of other ways to kind of get around slots being counted as badly matching now, whereas back in the day that really wasn't a thing. So I guess the value of Sabo Koala being able to change the orbs around isn't really as good as it once was, which is a bit of a shame. Of course, they also provide you with the 2.5 times attack boost for 3 turns. That's obviously a huge increase from before. I think before it was 2.25 for 1 turn, so going up to 2.5 for 3 turns is definitely much better. And then it says that if you have 3 or more Rev armies on the crew, then the enemy's increased damage taken will be buffed by 0.25. I think it's actually buffed by 0.3. Yeah, and also your own attack boosts are buffed by 0.3, which essentially makes it, it's actually the 2.75 times attack boost, should I say, and it goes up to a 3.05 times attack boost if you have 3 or more Rev army characters on the team, which is a little bit annoying, but at the same time, if you're running like 2 Sabo Koalas in this instance, you could run 1 more Rev army and you're good to go. But I feel like, as I said, you're not really going to be using this character as a captain. There's no real reason to do that. So if you are using them as a crewmate, you still have to apply 2 other Rev armies elsewhere. So I just think that effect is kind of whatever. However, this does work well with Dragon, because Dragon does have the ability to inflict increased damage taken against the opponent. This can buff that increased damage taken, and especially because Dragon's increased damage taken, I believe, can be enhanced twice. So being able to do that is honestly kind of interesting. And then I guess that's pretty much it. Like, honestly, Sabo and Koala, they just didn't really receive much of a buff. We wanted to see a lot more. I definitely wanted to see a unique effect in their captain, but that was basically untouched. The ability in their special and switch effect to resist special bind is definitely a nice addition, and for the most part is probably the most notable difference between the 2 characters. The switch effect change, being able to change more slots into matching, I guess is kind of nice, and obviously the addition of the super switch. But I just think that for a super evolution buff, they just needed a much more substantial increase from what they just got. So we'll have to wait and see. The current season for Rumble is still going to be ongoing for the next week or 2. So we'll have to wait and see what the next super evolution is going to be next month. Hopefully it's going to be a much more of a nice change. But I guess with Bandai's track record, you can't really expect too much moving forward. So if you guys have had the chance to use Sabo and Koala, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. And remember that this character, it's a free-to-play unit technically now, so definitely get it done. This character is likely going to be boosted and probably, I wouldn't say required, but it's going to be a very useful character in one of the upcoming treasure map fights in the middle of July. So for that reason, I would say definitely go ahead and snag this character up, get him ready to go. So that's going to wrap it up for me, though. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. And that, guys, I will see you guys within the next video.
Yeah. でしょ。合わせるぞ。オッケー。やるな。嘘でしょ。やるな。任せて。嘘でしょ。やるな。行くわよ。嘘でしょ。ある。どうぞ。私のしもべになる？